So our overarching theme this month has been the game is on. Let's play. And I talked about the power of persistence, keeping in the game, doing your part. I talked about a champion within all of us, which are very independent parts of our responsibility about being fully present and alive on this planet today. And we do have a personal responsibility to do our work. Absolutely. Would you agree with me? Yes, we do. We've got to do our part to keep aligned with that power and presence that James was singing about. But it's more than that too, because independence will only get us so far. Ernest Holmes talks about the divine plan. And he said the divine plan really has three parts. So every person that's alive has this divine plan in them. It's a calling within them to be conscious of ourselves. And we've talked a lot about know thyself. Who am I here in this human existence? A spiritual being having a human experience. Who am I? What's my responsibility to give and share myself with life? It's about knowing ourselves, being awareness of our physical beingness, our humanness, and our spirituality. And the second part of this divine plan within everyone is to be conscious of the natural laws, the mechanical, impersonal, natural laws of the universe that affect each and every one of us. The natural laws, and you'll read about the natural laws in our textbook and all that Ernest Holmes talks about, the law of correspondence, the law of reciprocity, the law of abundance, the law of good, the law of wholeness and completion. And he said, really, if there was one law, it's the law of cause and effect. It's meaning we have a direct relationship with this world and everything that's in it. All life is about relationship. And the last part of this three-tiered divine plan that's in all of us is to be conscious of our unity with the whole. It's a developmental process. We need to really know who we are and then step into this greater expression that we are part of a whole. We know that God is all there is and we are one with God, each and every one of us, which makes us all connected. Now, we're not all of God, but we're part of it. So everything that God is, we hold within us. And so we're here to have a relationship with ourselves, with the natural laws in the universe, and with each other and all life. What we know about relationships, there is only one great answer for every relationship, and that is love. And that's what God is, that's what we are. And Rumi, the beautiful 13th century mystic, says, our job, our task is not to seek for love, but to seek within us for all the barriers we have built against it. Because that love is always there. And so today, the one thing I really want for each of us is to be more aware of maybe where we're putting walls up, where there should be windows or doors. I had a great opportunity for relationships the last couple of days. On Thursday evening, I drove down to Deanna and her partner Brooke's home to go to Brooke's 12-year-old son's open house. Well, I haven't gotten to play the role of a grandma before. I really haven't had that in the outer world. I mean, at the holidays and things, yes, but this was a new role for me. And I didn't have to be called grandmother, grandma, whatever. I didn't have to be called that. I held that role. And we went into it's called High Tech Middle School in San Diego. And I just sat there overwhelmed with joy and pride and happiness that I could be in that relationship. It is not the relationship that my human mind would have expected. It's not the one I planned for. I planned for biological grandchildren. I planned to have grandchildren way younger than this. I planned for all different things. But it didn't matter because this was perfect. And when this is a true law of the universe, what's right and good and true for you. Now that means in alignment with spirit, has to be right and true and good for everyone. I could see Brooke and her pride because her mom lives far away and doesn't get to really participate in her children's life. So she was proud to have an elder there to hold the place for her kids. And her 12-year-old son, which is He's a good kid, a little usually reticent in speaking emotions. When I went and kissed him goodnight that night, he just said, "Sandy, thank you so much for being at my school tonight. There's nothing better you could get in the world than that from a 12-year-old boy. Nothing. That made it all." So that expanded my vision of life, my divine plan and relationships, to step away from, well, I want it this way or this way, and be in the greater experience and accept the abundant love and goodness that's there always. Take down the barriers. And then the next morning up bright and early, we went to, this is part of my birthday present for my daughter, to a sky falconry ranch. And I got to spend time with raptors and birds of prey. I got to hold a speckled owl on my arm. I got to have a beautiful hawk named Habibi, which means friend, come and fly and again sit on my arm when we're all in a circle. And I got to hold a beautiful falcon named Steam. And there's so much I could talk about. I could talk for a long time. My takeaway from that is I looked at these trainers. These are birds of prey. These are raptors. They do not need us. They've been around a long time. Actually, the owls have been around for between 50 and 60 million years at the time of the dinosaurs. They've evolved to a certain point. But my takeaway from this is these handlers had to be so in the game of life. They wanted people to have the experience of these beautiful, majestic birds. And they had to stay in the game. They can't just take care of these birds for a little while and go off and do their thing. They have to keep on keeping on. And so my message is, wow, for us to have that experience, they have to have this deep commitment and stay in the game. And that's my takeaway from that. We're in this game of life, and this game is infinite and eternal and everlasting. And sometimes we want to quit and give up. But it's not about that. Sometimes things seem too big for us, but it's not about that. And on my daughter's nightstand, there was a book called The Finite and Infinite Games. And I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? And she shared with me what it's about. And she said she studied this in one of her classes, and it's about the different games in life. Now, all of us love to play finite games. We like card games. We like, some kind of sports games. We like games of life. But finite games have players, they have rules, and they have a winner, which means they have lots of. And it can be fun if you keep the spirit of play in it. It's when the finite games have people in them that win at whatever cost. That's when the finite games get to be destructive. When it becomes a us versus them, a better than, when it becomes a real division, is when these finite games hurt the whole process of life. How many of you do like some of these finite games? We all do. It's fun. I love playing cards and doing fun things like that. They're fun when they are in the perspective of play. Now, the infinite games, there's only one of them. And that's the game of life. And in an infinite game, the player plays to win. For all to win. The player plays not for the end of the game, but for the journey itself. An infinite player will not stop playing to take, but to realize that all of life is a process and it's evolving. And so for us, I believe if we're looking towards taking down the walls to be a greater expression of love and God and goodness in this world, that we need to be looking at having the infinite player mind. Because infinite players always have fun. They enjoy what they're doing. Because here's what the author John Karse says. What will undo any boundary? Now, I want you to think in your life, where do you have a boundary like, this is impossible? Can't happen. There's no answer, no solution. We've all felt that. Where in your life do you have a boundary? And he said, what will undo any boundary is the awareness that it is our vision It's our vision and not what we're viewing that is limited. Because life is unlimited. There's solutions, possibilities everywhere. Well, let's just keep that as a possibility. Now, what happens when you or I are thrown a curveball, a fastball, a slow ball, something in life that we're not prepared to handle? It could be a health challenge. It could be a financial crisis. It could be the loss of someone or something we love. It could be all sorts of things that just hit us in the face. Now, if we only have our finite mind, that we've boxed in that mind that we have to be a winner at all costs, if we've boxed ourselves into that place, then when we get one of these situations coming into us, it can seem like the end. It can just seem like the end, and we will suffer. If we have an infinite mind, it doesn't mean there won't be pain, because there is pain in this life. It doesn't mean there won't be problems, because there are problems. But it means that we can feel the pain and know there's something more waiting for us. We won't give up. We'll keep on playing the game until we get in an alignment with that solution. Do you like that idea? So my idea is that we all really open up that infinite mind so we can really see a greater possibility, because this life gets hard sometimes. It gets tough. It gets difficult. Ernest Holmes said, and I keep this quote around, I have it in my mind. Now watch me not be able to say it because I'll forget it, but I have it there usually. He said, we are born to be happy. We are born to be supplied with every good thing, and to consciously unite with the divine power within us and around us forever and ever. Doesn't that just feel good? But in the book he says, and this is in one of his later talks when he just laid it all out, he said, but most of us are unhappy. Even though we're born to be happy, most of us are unhappy. But he gives a reason for it. And I want you to think about this in your own life. If there's something there where you're unhappy, he said 85%. And he said this isn't just said by metaphysicians as we are, but scientists, doctors, psychologists, on and on, have proven this, that 85% of our physical, emotional troubles, our troubles in the world, he even said accidents, are because within us there is a repression, something being held back, and it's our creative urge, our creative expressive nature. It's something in us that wants to be expressed, that wants to be lived fully. And because of something, I don't know if it's past experience, things we've been told, we stuff it down, and then it shows up as trouble. Not because it wants to punish us at all. It simply wants our attention. It wants us to wake up, to be broken open so we can express something more about ourselves. So if anything like that is in your life right now, think of it as an opportunity to know something more. To be, oh, there's something more to know. In order to do that, as I told you, the answer to every relationship, the answer to every problem, the answer is love. It always is love. For us to raise up to that level. Ernest Holmes talks so much about that. He said, there is nothing of good in this world that isn't encompassed by love. True goodness is equal to love. He said, it is the greatest power there is, and it will always avail, if we avail ourselves of it, it will always serve us well. Well, my question is, how many of you, and you know what, you don't even need to raise your hand because I'll raise it for all of us, have held back love, have not given love, because you want to be right, you want to be better, or dang it, you just want to be hurtful? How many of us have held that back? We all have. Because we do the best we can with the tools we have. And sometimes our tools aren't in the infinite mind. We're just trying to save ourselves. And so if we're going to really do the healing and be in the place of wholeness, the number one thing we've got to do is forgive. Can you help with that, Court? Yes, this Monday night, Court, forgive. Forgive ourselves. But we can forgive in this moment because we know in the infinite world there is no time or space. So right now, and don't let a lot of things pop up, just one is fine right now, one at a time. But let some act of lack of love, shutting the door on love, just come into your mind right now. One place that you didn't give love when you knew it. Now you know it would have been better to do so. And send love there now to yourself and to whoever it is, because we do the best we can with the tools we have. When we know better, we do better. That's it. And my whole goal for all of us is that we know better. And when we fall and make mistakes, we get up again. I love Pema Chodron's new book. That was on the other nightstand of Deanna's, and that was Fail, Fail Again, Fail Better. We keep doing it until we get it right. That's part of the road of experience that we are all on. We are here to be in the experience of life. Now, Judge Thomas Troward was a teacher and an inspiration for Ernest Holmes. He was quite wordy, but he said that if you've read him, I think you'd laugh because it's a page like that and it's one sentence. But he's very intelligent and very wise, and he was very into the healing power of the mind. And he said the true relationship between God and man is love, truth, and harmony. That's the true relationship that we have. He said it's the divine plan because God's gift to us is beauty, truth, and harmony, the whole to its parts. And our gift to the world is to live in that place of beauty, truth, and harmony. And it doesn't have to mean that everything looks beautiful on the outside. It means that there's beauty and love and consciousness in our hearts and in our minds. It doesn't mean that everything has to look in perfect harmony, but we need to be in harmony with the disharmony of life and just to know it's part of the process. And that's our call, our challenge. So as we leave today, I'm going to give you a little test. Don't you love tests? The answer is yes. The test is, how do we know and how do we become infinite players in this game of life? Still enjoying our finite game, still having fun and doing the fun thing, keeping an attitude of joy. But the first thing we do is we transform the boundaries we see into horizons. Stop worrying about, oh my gosh, open the door and say, what more could I know? What is there for me to know right now? What is the next step? Just ask in small increments, but make it horizons and not separation. The second thing is when you are an infinite player, you get the necessity to change the rules. Now, I don't mean cheating, but the necessity to change the rules. Ernest Holmes said we're open at the top. The rules that fit a long time ago don't fit an evolving life, do they? They don't fit. We got to change the rules for ourselves and others. If we're going to be in a new consciousness, in a new world, we have to change the rules and keep growing. Also, infinite players have F-U-N. They have fun. That's why I danced down the aisle today. I said, you know what? Our beautiful musicians have music on. We need to have some fun. And the fun came in. So if you're not having fun, doesn't mean you can't be serious. It means having a light heart. That's how I think of fun. Yes, we can be silly and goofy, but a light heart is fun. And you are internally defined as opposed to externally defined. It was Theodore Roosevelt who said comparison is the thief of joy. It's the thief of joy. We have to all know exactly where we are because we're supposed to be right where we are. We're here because this is right where we are, and we've got everything we need to live a life of beauty, truth, and harmony. The other part, there's two more pieces of this infinite mind, and one is you play to generate time, not consume it. Well, there's a long part to this. I didn't read all of it because it was quite tedious and long. But if you think what consumes time, confusion, drama, So when Karst talked about generating time, he said, and I boiled it down to one simple agreement from Don Miguel Ruiz: be impeccable with your word. Be clear and focused and honest and truthful, and then you're generating time instead of consuming it. And the last one is, you are concerned with vision and not power. And I had to think about that one for a minute, because we always talk about being powerful people and using the power of God, but vision is about strength and tenacity and courage. It takes courage. Paul Tillich, probably the most influential theologian of the 20th century, said, it takes great courage not to be lured by appearances. And so our vision always takes us beyond appearances. Our vision always is inclusive to the whole and sees the good for all. Power can get us to a certain place, but again, like the finite mind, it gets us to a place, and then we can have power over others, which is separating. So I want to close with one message that Karst had in his book that I really enjoyed, and it's about the way that I see the teachings of Jesus. He said, when you look at Jesus as the Savior, that comes from a finite mind, because some people lose. Some people aren't saved. But when you see Jesus as the great master teacher, as the way shower, that's the infinite mind, because all can win. Jesus knew his oneness with God. He knew the power in him was the Father at work. That's why he could create the miracles he did. So I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes. We're going to close on this and put your feet on the ground, unravel yourself, loosen up those boundaries, cut out some doors and windows, and make yourself available. We need to be in the mindset of the mystics, which is the infinite mind. The mind of the mystics is the infinite mind. And to be whole in one, I want you to take these words of the beautiful mystic Rumi and just allow yourself to be uplifted in them. Beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Beyond thoughts of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. And when the soul lies down in that grass, the world is simply too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase, each other, just doesn't make any sense. And as we've melted into, I probably could have just said that and not said anything else in the talk. James' song and that one quote says it all. That is the whole in one. When we don't feel the separation, but we're there for love and support. So what I say is, yes, the game is on, and let's play together. Okay, are you with me? So let's just seal that by saying, and so it is. Thank you for being here. I appreciate and love you all. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.